More than 200 years ago, humans erased an iconic species.
It was this species that had been described a lot in the literature because it was such an unusual and unique looking animal.
They're yet another example of a species that has gone extinct by interacting with us.
We can change the dynamics of everything.
We are excited to announce the de-extinction of Hippotragus leucophagus. The bluebuck is called a bluebuck because it has this shiny silver blue-gray coat, which is really different from any other antelope species.
It also had quite distinctive markings across its face, it had really distinctive horns, and it was also a little bit smaller than most other antelope species.
There are other kinds of antelope in other environments in Africa, but the bluebuck filled a very specific niche.
So they're really important to help keep the ecosystem healthy by grazing on plants.
So they eat a lot of plant matter, they turn it into manure that they then put all across the landscape. That really helps with dispersing the seeds, but also sometimes with the germination of that seed.
Additionally, they're a really favorite prey of many of the carnivores that you can find in South Africa today, like lions and leopards.
The bluebuck is a particularly sobering story.
In 1777, we took advantage of a creature and led it to extinction.
As settlers were coming into the area from European countries,
We started transforming what remained of their grassland habitats into farmland.
they also saw them as competition for their cattle. So a lot of overhunting, wanted to remove them from the landscapes.
What hadn't been turned into forests turned into crops. They had nowhere else to live, and they became extinct.
This was something relatively recent, something we did, and we can bring that back where the ecosystem still has that void that we can fill.
It's our responsibility to correct that.
We now have several high-quality reference genomes. We have one that was published a few years ago, and we have 3 really well-preserved samples that we're now generating additional data from.
So we've got that blueprint that we need to completely reconstruct what the bluebuck looked like.
We have really exciting advancements in artificial reproductive technologies for antelopes.
This idea that we can figure out how to build embryos in vitro in the lab.
Tools that we need to be able to turn that genome back into a whole living animal that we can put back into the landscape.
The roan has become the genomic donor and will be the surrogate of the first bluebuck.
We are working on ovum pickup procedures.
That's the ability to retrieve eggs from these females.
We do it monthly so that we have a regular supply of oocytes that can go back to the lab for additional techniques like IVF, embryo culture, embryo freezing.
So just getting one single egg out of a roan or out of an oryx was a world's first. In oryx, the next procedure would be an embryo transfer. With roan, we need to try to produce those embryos in vitro.
This is exciting because it's also an opportunity to learn things and expand our technologies to an entirely different branch of the animal tree of life.
Southern Africa is an amazing wild place, but it has been heavily impacted by things like agriculture and human development. By bringing this species back, we're able to help encourage habitat restoration and rewilding efforts that support not just antelope conservation, but sort of an umbrella effect of protection for plant and animal species alike.
I think we'll really speed up all of those conservation ideas that people have that maybe don't have the resources or the knowledge to do, and really prevent a lot of animals from going extinct really quickly.
With the reproductive science that we do, that's an enhancement that can be added to a breeding program, a reintroduction program, conservation cloning, or even disease resistance. Those are things that Colossal is working on.
We care for them tremendously. Steve's team does a fantastic job making sure that their welfare is taken care of and prioritized.
How are we responsible for them? How are we going to make sure that they have optimal welfare? What does that look like? So we begin that process before we ever start the science.
De-extinction can't happen in a bubble. We have to build mass networks across the globe in order to help make de-extinction successful.
I'd like my children one day to be able to see these species. There's plenty of antelope species getting hunted because of their beautiful coat colors, their horns.
As we work toward grassland restoration, bluebuck restoration, we're going to develop tools that we can use to help other species that are in danger of becoming extinct avoid that same fate.
We have this unique opportunity to be able to move things forward and to be able to pioneer science that's been established, but take it into the future and be able to apply that to the conservation of all these rare and endangered species today on our journey towards the de-extinction of iconic species like the bluebuck.
That's sort of the benefit behind Colossal is you have this team of scientists that are willing to put heart, blood, soul, tears, everything into figuring out what's the protocol, how do we get it to work.
When we are successful, it will mean we have brought back a species that has not walked this earth for hundreds of years.
This is a lineage on the animal tree of life that really nobody has focused on for the purposes of conservation. We're making incredible progress at a rate that I couldn't have predicted, and I am excited for what the next several years are going to bring.
Bluebuck,
Bluebuck, Antelope.